Illinois Real Estate Exam Trust Account Questions. Question 1. An owner personally advertises and negotiates the sale of the owner's own townhome. Why is this usually treated differently from brokerage for others? Option A. Owners may generally sell or lease their own property without acting as licensed brokers for the public. Option B. Every owner must hold a broker license before signing a deed. Option C. The owner is automatically sponsored by the buyer's broker. Option D. The owner may collect commissions from other sellers without a license. The correct answer is option A. Owners may generally sell or lease their own property without acting as licensed brokers for the public. Real estate license laws typically regulate brokerage services performed for others, especially for compensation. An owner selling the owner's own property is not thereby representing the public as a broker, while licensing would be required to collect commissions or broker transactions for other owners. Question 2. A buyer pays for the right, but not the obligation, to purchase a property at a set price during a stated period. Which agreement is described during Cameron's Champaign Lakefront Cottage file review? Option A. Open listing only. Option B. Option agreement. Option C. Tax deed. Option D. Subordination agreement. The correct answer is option B. Option agreement. An option gives the holder the right to buy under stated terms without requiring the holder to exercise it. An open listing is a brokerage agreement, a tax deed relates to tax enforcement, and subordination changes lien priority. Question 3. A buyer purchases for $270,000, makes a 25% down payment, and has $5,300 in closing costs. About how much cash is needed at closing before credits during Drew's Joliet Suburban Ranch home file review? Option A. $67,500. Option B. $5,300. Option C. $72,800. Option D. $264,700. The correct answer is option C. $72,800. Cash needed combines the down payment and closing costs, 25% of $270,000 plus $5,300 equals $72,800. The other choices omit either the costs or the down payment, or subtract costs from the price incorrectly.
Stressed about your AccuPlacer exam? We can take AccuPlacer exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done.
Question 4. Kendall posts a social media ad for a listing near Decatur using only a personal phone number and no brokerage identification. Which issue is most likely raised by Illinois advertising rules during Hayden's Aurora Commercial Suite file review? Option A. A licensee may advertise without any broker identification online. Option B. Only print advertising must identify a broker. Option C. Brokerage identification is unnecessary if the property address appears. Option D. Real estate advertising must identify the sponsoring brokerage in a compliant and not misleading way. The correct answer is option D. Real estate advertising must identify the sponsoring brokerage in a compliant and not misleading way. Illinois advertising expectations focus on protecting the public from misleading ads and making the sponsoring brokerage clear. Online ads are still advertising, and the property address or a personal phone number does not replace proper broker identification. Question 5. An ad states only a very low monthly payment without giving required credit terms or context. Which lending minus advertising law is often implicated during Parker's Evanston Farm Parcel File Review? Option A. Truth in Lending Act and Regulation Z. Option B. Rule Against Perpetuities. Option C. Fair Credit Reporting Act only. Option D. Illinois Plat Act only. The correct answer is option A. Truth in Lending Act and Regulation Z. Regulation Z under the Truth in Lending Act governs many consumer credit advertising disclosures. The rule against perpetuities and plat laws do not govern loan advertising, and the FCRA focuses on consumer reports rather than payment minus ed trigger terms. Question 6. A rental property has NOI of $24,000 and a value estimate of $300,000. Approximately what capitalization rate is indicated during Reese's Oak Park single-family home file review? Option A, 4%. Option B, 8%. Option C, 11%. Option D, 12.5%. The correct answer is option B, 8%. The capitalization rate is NOI divided by value, so $24,000 divided by $300,000 is about 8%. The other answers have the rate, add unsupported points, or invert the formula. Question 7. A listing broker learns of a roof leak discovered after heavy rain before a buyer submits an offer. How should the issue generally be treated in an Illinois exam scenario during Alex's Decatur 2-flat building file review? Option A. It may be hidden if the seller requests silence. Option B. It is never relevant once the property is listed as is. Option C. A known material fact should be disclosed rather than concealed. Option D. It must be disclosed only after the buyer obtains a loan. The correct answer is option C. A known material fact should be disclosed rather than concealed. Known material facts can affect a buyer's decision and should not be concealed. A seller's request, and as is label, or the timing of financing does not eliminate the broker's duty to avoid misrepresentation and disclose material information. Question 8. A seller receives an offer of $340,000 and responds with $343,000 plus a changed closing date. How should the seller's response be classified? Option A. A full acceptance of the buyer's original offer. Option B. A deed transferring title immediately. Option C. A lease option created by operation of law. Option D. A counteroffer that rejects the original offer and proposes new terms. The correct answer is option D. A counteroffer that rejects the original offer and proposes new terms. Changing material terms such as price or closing date creates a counteroffer rather than an acceptance. It does not transfer title, and it does not create a lease option unless the parties separately agree to those terms.
Are you looking for non-medical assistant exam actual questions? Visit our website pokerexams.com to access non-medical assistant exam study guide with actual questions and answers. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description to get non-medical assistant exam answer key today.
Question 9. A buyer obtains a loan of $220,400 on a property appraised at $290,000. Approximately what is the loan to value ratio during Quinn's normal townhome file review? Option A, 76%. Option B, 24%. Option C, 86%. Option D, 61%. The correct answer is option A, 76%. Loan minus value is calculated by dividing the loan amount by the appraised value, $220,400 divided by $290,000, or about 76%. The other percentages confuse equity with LTV or use an incorrect numerator or denominator. Question 10. A residential seller in Illinois knows about past roof defects but leaves the disclosure report blank. What concept is most directly tested during Sydney's Carbondale small apartment building file review? Option A. The buyer's duty to ignore all seller statements. Option B. The seller's disclosure obligations for known material defects. Option C. The lender's exclusive duty to inspect the property. Option D. The appraiser's authority to waive statutory disclosures. The correct answer is option B. The seller's disclosure obligations for known material defects. Illinois residential disclosure rules focus on the seller's disclosure of known material defects. Buyers still may inspect, but that does not make seller disclosure meaningless. Lenders and appraisers do not waive statutory disclosure duties. Question 11. Several liens are discovered before closing, including a recorded mortgage, unpaid property taxes, and a later judgment lien. Why is lien priority important during Logan's Galesburg mixed-use storefront file review? Option A. Priority decides who may advertise the property. Option B. Priority cancels the need for title insurance. Option C. Priority determines the order in which claims may be paid from the property's value. Option D. Priority makes every lien disappear at listing. The correct answer is option C. Priority determines the order in which claims may be paid from the property's value. Lien priority affects the order of payment when property is sold or foreclosed. It does not control advertising rights, eliminate title insurance analysis, or erase liens merely because a property is listed. Question 12. A borrower pays 1 discount points on a $240,000 loan. How much do the points cost? Option A, $1,200. Option B, $3,400. Option C, a different result not supported by the facts 3. Option D, $2,400. The correct answer is option D, $2,400. 1 discount point equals 1% of the loan amount, so 1 points cost 1% of $240,000, or $2,400. The other figures use too few points, only 1 point, or add an unsupported amount. Question 13. Hayden receives $3,250 in earnest money and places it in a personal checking account for convenience. Which trust-account problem is illustrated? Option A, commingling client funds with personal funds. Option B, a lawful automatic conversion of escrow funds into commission. Option C, a required method for handling every earnest money deposit. Option D, a title defect that is cured by recording a deed. The correct answer is option A, commingling client funds with personal funds. Client or customer funds such as earnest money must be handled through the appropriate special or trust account process. Putting the money into a personal checking account is commingling. It is not automatic commission, not the required method, and not a title-recording issue. Question 14. A landlord refuses to consider an applicant because of race. What fair housing concept is most directly involved during Jamie's Waukegan Lakefront Cottage file review? Option A, a lawful appraisal adjustment. Option B, discrimination based on a protected class in housing transactions. Option C, a title-priority decision. Option D, a contract contingency automatically required by lenders. The correct answer is option B, discrimination based on a protected class in housing transactions. Fair housing laws prohibit discrimination in housing based on protected classes. The situation is not an appraisal adjustment, title priority issue, or lender-required contract contingency. Question 15. Annual property taxes are $3,600, and the seller owes the buyer a credit for 60 days using a 365-day year. Approximately how large is the credit during Rowan's Belleville Suburban Ranch home file review? Option A, $300. Option B, $10. Option C, $592. Option D, $1,184. The correct answer is option C, $592. Daily proration divides $3,600 by 365 and multiplies by 60 days, giving about $592. The other choices use 1 month, 1 day only, or double the required prorated period. Question 16. A sponsoring broker is asked to produce special account records during a regulatory review. Which practice best supports compliance during Jordan's Chicago Commercial Suite file review? Option A, deleting old deposit records once the closing occurs. Option B, keeping records only in the salesperson's personal email. Option C, combining all clients into one undocumented cash envelope. Option D, maintaining complete transaction and trust-account records that can be examined when required. The correct answer is option D, maintaining complete transaction and trust-account records that can be examined when required. Regulators may examine records to verify compliant handling of funds and transactions. Deleting records, relying only on a personal email, or using an undocumented cash envelope undermines record retention and auditability. Question 17. Two firms agree that one will serve buyers only in Bloomington while the other will avoid that area and focus on Champaign. Which antitrust concept best fits? Option A, a market allocation. Option B, valid escalation clause. Option C, a leasehold estate. Option D, statutory redemption period. The correct answer is option A, Market allocation. Competitors who divide territories or customers can create an unlawful market allocation scheme. Escalation clauses are contract tools, leasehold estates are possessory interests, and redemption periods relate to foreclosure law. Question 18. Alex signs an exclusive listing agreement and later asks why the writing matters. Which answer best fits exam-tested brokerage agreement principles during Morgan's Peoria single-family home file review? Option A. A brokerage agreement eliminates all disclosure duties. Option B. Written terms help define services, compensation, duration, and the parties' obligations. Option C. Oral promises always replace signed terms. Option D. A brokerage agreement transfers legal title to the broker. The correct answer is option B. Written terms help define services, compensation, duration, and the parties' obligations. Brokerage agreements define key business terms and help avoid disputes about services and compensation. They do not eliminate disclosure duties. Oral promises generally do not automatically replace signed terms, and the agreement does not convey title to the broker.
Stressed about your non-medical assistant exam? We can take non-medical assistant exam for you remotely and undetected. We always guarantee a pass and payments only after results. To send us an email, scan the code or tap the link in the description and let's get it done.
Question 19. Rowan prepares a price opinion for a seller in Evanston to help set a listing price. Which limitation should be remembered? Option A. A CMA always creates a guaranteed sale price. Option B. A broker price opinion transfers title. Option C. A CMA or broker price opinion is not the same as a formal appraisal by a licensed appraiser. Option D. A CMA eliminates all disclosure duties. The correct answer is option C. A CMA or broker price opinion is not the same as a formal appraisal by a licensed appraiser. A CMA or BPO can help estimate market price for brokerage purposes, but it is not a formal appraisal. It does not guarantee a sale price, transfer title, or remove disclosure obligations. Question 20. A sponsored licensee uses the team name River City Team in advertising. Which compliance concerns should be checked first during Riley's Rockford condominium unit file review? Option A. Whether the team can operate without a sponsoring broker. Option B. Whether the team name creates automatic title insurance. Option C. Whether the team may set commission rates with competitors. Option D. Whether the team name and ad clearly avoid misleading consumers about the sponsoring brokerage. The correct answer is option D. Whether the team name and ad clearly avoid misleading consumers about the sponsoring brokerage. Team advertising must be clear enough that consumers are not misled about the brokerage relationship and sponsorship. A team does not replace the sponsoring broker, create title insurance, or justify antitrust violations. Question 21. A landlord uses a consumer credit report to evaluate Rowan's rental application. Which law commonly appears in property-management screening questions? Option A. Fair Credit Reporting Act. Option B. Truth in Zoning Act. Option C. Statute of Frauds only. Option D. Uniform Commercial Code Bulk Sales Rules. The correct answer is option A. Fair Credit Reporting Act. Tenant screening that uses consumer credit information implicates the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The other choices do not specifically govern consumer reports used to evaluate rental applicants. Question 22. A business offers to find apartments for renters in exchange for a fee. Why might Illinois licensing law be implicated during Cameron's Champaign small apartment building file review? Option A. Rental-finding services are always exempt regardless of activity. Option B. Rental-finding services can involve regulated real estate activity when performed for compensation. Option C. Only sellers can trigger licensing law. Option D. The service becomes legal if no written records are kept. The correct answer is option B. Rental-finding services can involve regulated real estate activity when performed for compensation. Rental-finding and leasing-related services may be regulated when performed for compensation. The activity is not automatically exempt. Licensing law is not limited to sales, and failing to keep records does not cure an unlicensed activity issue. Question 23. Avery signs closing documents for an absent seller under a power of attorney. Which issue is most important? Option A. A power of attorney automatically makes the signer the owner. Option B. No written authority is ever needed. Option C. The authority must be valid and broad enough for the act being performed. Option D. The broker may create authority by verbal approval alone. The correct answer is option C. The authority must be valid and broad enough for the act being performed. A power of attorney gives authority only if it is valid and covers the act being performed. It does not transfer ownership to the signer by itself, and verbal approval alone is not a safe substitute for proper written authority. Question 24. A consumer asks why a state real estate recovery fund might exist. Which purpose is closest during Hayden's Aurora vacant lot file review? Option A. Guaranteeing every buyer a profit on resale. Option B. Paying all ordinary home repairs after closing. Option C. Replacing the need for broker licensing. Option D. Providing a limited source of recovery for certain losses caused by licensee misconduct when statutory requirements are met. The correct answer is option D. Providing a limited source of recovery for certain losses caused by licensee misconduct when statutory requirements are met. Recovery funds are designed as limited consumer minus protection remedies for qualifying misconduct minus related losses. They do not guarantee investment profit, pay routine repairs, or replace licensing and discipline systems. Question 25. A buyer and seller dispute whether a built-minus in dishwasher stays with the property. Which test is most relevant during Parker's Evanston rental duplex file review? Option A. Whether the item has become a fixture based on attachment, adaptation, agreement, and intent. Option B. Whether the buyer likes the item. Option C. Whether the item is expensive enough. Option D. Whether the broker wants it included. The correct answer is option A. Whether the item has become a fixture based on attachment, adaptation, agreement, and intent. Fixture analysis looks at factors such as attachment, adaptation, agreement, and intent. Personal preference, price alone, or the broker's preference does not determine whether the item stays with the real estate.